such a pleasure to see you all. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. And thank you for your likes and sharing my videos. Oh, if you are new to my channel, thank you for subscribing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your therapy channel, okay? I'm here to give you simple psychology, simple life hacks, simple life tricks that you can use to get by. I mean, it'll cost you a whooping arm and a leg if you were to actually go to a in-house office therapist. I mean, you know what that is. If you don't, thank me later when you eventually do. So guys, straight to the matter. I'm going to be talking about the 5 major emotions as outlined by Dr. Paul Ekman. Very, very important research there that he did with the instruction or the directives of the Dalai Lama. Very, very wonderful person, man. And his instruction was to make this as circular as possible. Would you believe that? A spiritual man that wants a solution that would meet the needs of the circular world, because he knows that even if they don't want to be spiritual, it's still so important, you know. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's head into today's discussion. Continuing from where I stopped about emotions, remember when we talked about the 5 major types of emotions that we feel, namely anger, fear, sadness, disgust, or enjoyment. So we could talk about enjoyment as something that you feel happy about, pleasure, something that gives you unhinged pleasure. Oh, trust me, we all know that. And it could be expressive: happiness, love, relief, contentment, amusement, and so on. Satisfaction, compassion. You know, talk about what are you passionate about, because it's something you enjoy. Okay? And we could talk about other feelings like sadness. If you feel sad, it's could be for the case of loss, refusal, rejection, and it could be expressed as loneliness, heartbrokenness, gloomy, disappointed, hopelessness, despair, unhappy. Sadness is a very, very common, popular, I wouldn't call it negative, but it's sort of a negative emotion that a lot of people express, if not remain. However, sadness can be hard to shake, because remember when I said 95% of what is in our mind is negative emotion. So we have to consciously walk in positive. You have to have your affirmations. You have to have your scripts, the rules you live by. I will be happy. I will be fruitful. I will be kind to myself. I will love myself. You know, these are the things you have to consciously say. Otherwise, your mind just refers to 95% negativity that runs in your head. Okay? When it comes to things like sadness, you want to mourn. You know, it's important to express that sadness, express grief, you know, breakup or loss. It's important to express it. Some people cry. Whatever you do, make sure you express it to yourself, to others. Just make sure you express it. It's very dangerous when you keep these things bottled up, because you back up what they call your energy zone, and this leads to a lot of people having some serious life-threatening illnesses that is usually traced to stress. You do something meaningful, whether it is for yourself, the person you lost. You know, do something meaningful that you can trace that event to, because if you don't do it, you always trace the hurt back to the event. But doing something meaningful lets your subconscious know that you moved past it, at least a positive step forward, you know, so it doesn't run back to that same situation and leave you feeling down and out and depressed. Knowing that you've done something positive gives you a positive feel and a positive energy. And reach out for support. I mean, remember I talked about eustress and distress. Distress is when you don't have support. Eustress is when there is support. You need to build support before you have trouble, so that when you do have trouble, you have someone you can talk to, friends you can go out with, or you know, family, loved one, partner that you can talk to, and they can just nurture you. the thing about support is when you are not at your best, when you're feeling down, you need someone to speak life, as Christians will say, into you, because at this point you are emotionally or spiritually sick and you can't do it by yourself. You need time to get those healing words, you need time to meditate, and all that support is going to help you know that you're not alone. Everyone goes through some form of disappointment or loss, to help you put body and soul together. And we talk about fear. Now, fear, that is the most ancient of all. I mean, it's like you could say we all have collective fear, and this is fear. Collective fear is about the worst, because remember, when you have herd mentality is held up by fear some of the time, if not most of the time. And it's when you sense a threat. It could be a group of people, it could be a village, it could be a family, it could be a group of friends, cliques. You feel threatened, and it could be serious, it could be not so serious. It could be life-threatening, it could be just non-life-threatening. But the fact is, when you have fear, you can feel signs of worry, agitation, anxiety, nervousness, panicked, stressed. Usually you feel stressed. So you want to make sure that you, here's the steps to, when it comes to fear, combating fear. You have to checkmate fear. Whatever you're afraid of, you eventually have to confront at some point. You have to face it. They say face your fear. It doesn't mean you face your fear without some form of risk assessment. If you're afraid of heights, you don't go bungee jumping the next day, because when that fear kicks in, all the training that you've learned might just, your brain blanks out, and that's dangerous. Same thing with swimming. You want to introduce these things gradually until you start to take bits and pieces of it and work on your comfort level until you can bite the whole. You don't eat a whole elephant at once. You take bits and pieces until you eat the whole elephant or horse. So, in your safety zone with support, and try and distract yourself from it altogether. Sometimes the best thing about fear, especially, have you ever heard where they say do not run from a bear and do not want anyone to encounter bears? Although a lot of people have been encountering them if you check social media lately. So you distract yourself from fear by being in a happy state, by thinking. There's this saying, I believe it was, I don't know if it was Tumbaloo, I can't remember where I heard it, but it's like when you're feeling, when an athlete is about to engage in competition, and they succeed, and after it, it's like, so were you scared? They're like, no. Here's the thing, fear and adrenaline, they come from the same place, like anxiety and I should call it adrenaline, that force of excitement. Yes, anxiety and excitement, they come from the same place in your brain. So it is how you interpret it, is how your body will respond. If you feel something, going up on a stage, if you're afraid, you're going to clamp up, you're going to have sweaty palms, you're going to fidget, you're going to start sweating, you will just zone out. But if you look at it, it's, oh my God, I'm excited. Remember, you have to say it, because your brain doesn't know what you're feeling. Are you anxious? Are you excited? And you're like, whew, I'm so excited, I can't wait. And it injects those positive emotions. So distract yourself by giving it a better interpretation. And then consider it logically, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Sometimes, like the early Christians would say, whether I live or die, I'm serving God. Sometimes the best way to confront your fear is to deal with it logically. Give yourself a logical interpretation and say, you know what, this is what it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to move on, okay? What's the worst that can happen? Not death, Well, great. Let's move on. Anger, number 4. Anger. Whew. Anger usually happens in an instant, especially when you feel injustice, unfairness, oppression. Basically to defend yourself or defend someone you love, or just defend someone if you're that kind of person who does not like being bullied or being around people who are bullied. You are frustrated, you are annoyed, you are irritated, infuriated, maybe bitter, but anger it could be a negative or positive thing, but it's definitely a normal emotion. But however, anger works. There's something I want to say about anger. Anger can either work in your favor or against you. And usually, if you plan, do not act when you're angry. Trust me, you work against yourself. You will work against yourself, because even if you want to defend yourself, you could end up getting into a fight with someone stronger than you, but you were angry, so it's justified. Well, here's the thing. When you do something and sure you're going to win, if you're not sure you're going to win, it's important to be rational about what's the next step. So do not let anger becloud you. Rather be angry in private, or be angry but do nothing, because anger is not a smart emotion. Anger is a sentinel. It is a go and kill. And if you have not assessed the situation, if you have not assessed your liabilities, you cannot just go and damage. You can't just burn bridges and then come back and eat your words and then come back and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, I was upset. Any action you take when you are angry works against you. Okay, I want you guys to understand that anger is a very important emotion. It's very helpful, but it is not acting from a place of anger does not give you, unless you are thoughtful when you speak, in the sense that you know exactly, it's called a righteous indignation. You are correcting a wrong, but you are not speaking, you are speaking so firmly and so forthrightly that everyone can tell that you are pissed and frustrated, but you're not being emotional, but they can tell that you're angry, such that you direct your anger at the issue and not the person. See, when you're emotional, you direct your anger at the person, but when you're rational and when you're thoughtful, you direct your anger at the situation, and you say, I am angry that this and this happened. I am disappointed that this and this happened. I had whatever it is you don't want to be vengeful, you don't want to be petty, so take a break if you're feeling. And usually the thing about anger is when it happens, it's usually not, remember when I said emotions don't tell you their trigger. So the thing that you think you're angry about, that is not the source of that anger. That is why it's important not to act from that anger, because you could overreact. You could be outburst of emotion. It's almost like your anger has no place in the conversation, because anger is coming from a place of piled and it's like suppressed things that hasn't been dealt with. So it's important when something upsets you, deal with it immediately if you can take a break and deal with yourself. I know I'm saying a lot with regard to anger, but it's really important because this emotion is very destructive. Anger is like fire, for anyone who's watched The Last Airbender. Fire cannot be controlled easily. Fire cannot be tamed. It needs to be respected. You have to have high respect for anger because it is destructive. Sadness, no. Enjoyment, absolutely not. Disgust, these are not dangerous emotions, because the most you would do is beyond your nose. But with anger, you can level a city. With anger, you can destroy someone. With anger, you've heard of spouses who killed their significant other in anger. You know, it's, if you remember, if you do watch those horrible videos or listen to those horrible audios, you see that they had repressed issues or unresolved issues that kept on kind of building the eruption and the outburst to a point where the minute that they could no longer tolerate it, what emotion came out? An outburst of anger. So anger is like a release valve. So you want to make sure you release valve when the situation that caused it happened. And you will have micro episodes of events happening every day. It could be you forgot something. It could be someone forgot something. It could be what you did, what someone did, what wasn't done, or what was done, what was said. Be mindful of how you feel about things that do not make you happy, because here are two things: you are either happy or not. Okay, I know we talked about 5 emotions, but you are either in a happy state or you are not in a happy state. So be mindful of the things that push you to a negative or unhappy state, because if these things, if you're not conscious, if you're not aware, if they're unresolved, they would simply be filed in the folder of anger, and eventually you're gonna have that poof outburst that you're gonna be ashamed of later. So like I said, make it constructive where you're focused on the issue, not the person. And of course, you want a solution. When you're focused on an issue, you are speaking to get a resolution. When you're focused on a person, you're just being judgmental and antagonistic, and you do not care for the solution. You just want to ride and engage and indulge your emotion. Not mature. Last but not least, we'll talk about disgust. Disgust is usually when you feel disappointed, unpleasant, unwanted. It's dislike. You feel revolted, you know, horrified, like, oh, or sick. Something sickens you. Something is like, that is the worst and most inhumane, you know, withdrawal. And it could happen as a natural response to something you don't like. Okay, excuse me. And if you don't like something, you want to be kind towards other people. So it's only children who goes, ew, yuck, they smell, they act funny, they look funny. And usually parents are quick to scold their kids, and that is not a socially acceptable way of expressing disgust. So you want to focus, show compassion, and if you are, like I said, just like anger, focus on the issue and not the person. Sometimes someone smells, has body odor. Most people like, oh, what a smelly person. No, it could be, oh, this person is either not aware or is unable to afford a good personal hygiene. Maybe they don't know about a low-cost way of, having good personal hygiene. You want to offer solution. And if it's, say it's something you don't like, maybe you have a phobia. Your phobias usually create disgust. Expose yourself gradually. It could be a new culture. It could be your prejudices, biases. Be careful, your stereotypes. You have to expose yourself gradually so that you can see yourself in the other person's shoe. So guys, emotions, they are as complicated as they are helpful. They are as intense and as they are mild. Remember that when we talk about conflict resolution, you have to resolve the emotion within you first so that you can deal with the environment, because the environment, don't forget, is charged up with the rational thoughts and the irrational thoughts of both you and the people in the environment. So whatever you do, however you do it, and let's look at emotions as a means of conflict resolution. You first have to do conflict resolution internally before you face the external world. And I hope this has been helpful. Please be mindful of how you express your emotions. Stay healthy, stay alive, stay well. By all means, I will see you in the next video. Thank you, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your loved ones or anyone you think needs to get a hold on their emotions. Until next time, thank you and have a wonderful day.